What is a creepy fact about the human body? Let's get right into the first story. If you wear a glass which vertically inverts your vision long enough, your brain will correct it, and you'll see things normal. But when you take those glasses off, everything will look upside down again until brain recalibrates again. Story number 2. Heard a story of this guy who got an axe or something to his head, destroyed most of his brain, except the part that processes routines. He got up from the bed beside his dead wife, got dressed, started brushing his teeth, what was left of them, casually checked the mirror, and wiped his skin of some blood with tissue, walked round the house and collected newspaper from the doorstep. Eventually he just collapsed. He was like a zombie, unaware of anything but for his routine. Really freaky. Next story. We don't just have one sphincter. When poo comes along, it passes another inner sphincter which isn't under voluntary control, meaning you can widen and narrow the hole with your outer sphincter, but not the inner one. You tried, that's okay. Sensory cells can detect whether you're about to pass gas or solid. From toddler age on, you can decide to go or not to go. If the time isn't right, e.g., at a friend's house or no toilet nearby, the inner sphincter can push the poo back and store it there for later. That's why sometimes if you need to do a number 2 but don't go, the urge goes away after about 20 minutes later. But seriously, go if you can. Constipation risk. Gas can't be pushed back so easily, so we sometimes toot by accident when moving or engaging the core. Now what about liquid? It doesn't seem to know liquid, so we play Russian charlotte. Fourth story. The front of your tongue is curious, constantly patrolling, and autonomous. It chases the dentist around your mouth, and you aren't even aware of it. So embarrassing and weird creepy. Fifth story. The intestines are covered by a double fleece of peritoneum. See it like a blanket. When your intestines get damaged for whatever reason, this blanket starts moving out of itself and crawling upwards towards the place which has the injury. It will stay there until the injury is recovered, and then move on again. Maybe not the most creepy fact, but definitely interesting in my opinion. Story number 6. When you get laser tattoo removal, the ink doesn't disappear, you pee it out. Your body's immune system breaks down the pigments of ink and it flows in your bloodstream, gets processed through your kidneys, then you pee out the ink. 7th story. My favorite is the blind spot at the center of each eye, where the optic nerve is. A lot of people don't even know it exists, and even if they do, it is bigger than people often think. And it's also really easy to demonstrate to people if you know how. It's one of my favorite bar tricks. All you need is a pen and a napkin to draw a cross and a dot. Story number 8. The liver can grow parts of itself back. If you get a splinter or foreign object stuck in your skin, you can hold a flashlight against your skin and shine the light through your flesh, and the foreign object will be a dark spot. Light actually passes through our flesh quite well. Also, if you shine a bright enough light into your mouth, you can see the light in your own eyes. Story number 9. Sometimes there are just random extra muscles. You can go your entire life without even knowing it. I've worked as a mortician, and the MEs would tell me about some cases like this. Also, just random tumors, even when the individual had never been diagnosed. Lastly, skin sounds like saran wrap when peeled from the body. Next story. We ate our own hair while inside the womb. Babies eat the lanugo, called as the fetus hair, that they shed while in the womb, and it builds up within them to form the substance that makes up their first, known as meconium. Story number 11. The brain will always usually try to ensure its survival. If knocking you out does so, then you will faint for the safety of the brain. I remember finding this once, but I don't remember clearly. Story number 12. People keep saying your brain in these comments. I think one of the creepiest things is that you are the brain and the brain is you, but for some reason we brains really don't like to acknowledge this. Story number 13. In really bad cases of endometriosis, uterine tissue, the lining of the uterus, i.e. the blood and stuff shed during a period, can grow throughout the entire body. Colon, bladder, chest, even the head brain in rare cases. It's incredibly painful, since it still tries to shed like a normal period but has nowhere to go. It can only be confirmed via surgery, since it doesn't show up on most ultrasounds MRI scans. Next story. There is an urban myth that your fingernails continue to grow after death, which is supposed to explain why dead bodies often appear to have long nails. The truth is that the soft tissues in the fingers and hands tend to contract as they lose moisture, leading to the appearance of growing nails. Let's get to the next story. Human skin is overlaid with a pattern called Blaschko's lines, stripes covering the body from head to toe. The stripes run up and down your arms and legs and hug your torso. They wrap around the back of your head like a hood and across your face. You just can't see them. Next story. Allegedly, your immune system has no clue your eyes exist. Effective tomorrow, if your immune system found out about your eyes, it would treat them as an external threat. Therefore, try and neutralize your eyeballs, leaving you blind. Next story. Food that was consumed can sometimes take up to 5 days to fully pass through your intestines into your colon. So when people say that you are full of crap, they ain't lying. Next story. The insides of your eyeballs are completely isolated from the rest of your body. If your body discovers the inside of your eyeball through a puncture or some other reason, it can attack your eyeball as a foreign invader. It will also attack the other eyeball, just in case. Be nice to your eyes. Story number 19. The placebo effect is one of the biggest superpowers of the human body, showing how strong and weak it is at the same time and how easy it is to trick any mind. Modern-day science can't still fully understand it. Let's get to the next story. It is believed that mitochondria were once separate living beings that were engulfed by another cell, but didn't die. Instead, they provided benefit to the engulfing cell. They are a separate being. Today, the human DNA has over 3 billion base pairs, while mitochondria only have about 16,000. You're a composite creature made up of at least 2 species. Next story. The pancreas is able to secrete enzymes that digest food in a very effective manner. That also means that if said pancreatic enzymes happen to spill out into a place in your body where they're not supposed to be, e.g., from some forms of direct trauma to the bile ducts, they'll digest your insides. Next story. Phantom pain. When someone has their limb cut off, sometimes they can feel pain in the non-existing limb. That's because sensory nerves that relay information to the brain, although cut short, are still active. So sensation from that limb are still felt if those nerves got provoked. Story number 23. Your brain makes crap up constantly. Like with vision, you have blind spots throughout your vision that your brain just fills in with things, through repetition and familiar spaces and things, etc., that it's predicting is normal. Your brain, on a very frequent basis, is just winging it when it comes to what you're actually seeing. Let's get to the next story. Incident number 1. I had a bad enough broken bone when I was 9 that it almost killed me. Apparently the marrow that makes blood can't exist in your bloodstream. Fun fact lol. Incident number 2. My orthopedic surgeon and my neurologist still don't have a good explanation as to how I have full range of motion in my legs, i.e., the ability to walk, run even. I've never seen a super smart guy like my neurologist just go, I don't really know. After I had broken my back and had nerve damage and partial paralysis in both legs. My neurologist says that sometimes cerebrospinal fluid can act as a bridge for major nerve damage, so maybe that. Otherwise, he wrote some published stuff about it that was more question than answer, haha. All I know is that when I get x-rays done or switch doctors, the response is, how did you walk in here? It visibly unsettles them. Like I'm playing a prank and my wheelchair is hidden somewhere, lol. I don't really care, if I'm being honest. It hurts a lot sometimes, and people get really weird sometimes when I remind them that I can't do some things, but shrugs, I can walk, so it doesn't matter much to me. Long story short, sometimes your body can do some weird and creepy crap that even the professionals go, about, lol. Story number 25. Brain aneurysm. About 1 to 2% of the world population will go through an aneurysm during their lifetime, and a small portion of these people will die from a rupture. The worst part? It has no boundaries. Literally anyone can get one at any time and just die. Story number 26. The fact that the placebo effect even exists suggests that the brain does have some capacity to force the body to resolve diseases, and this has never been fully explained. Scientists are still exploring how this ability works and if it can be developed further. Let's get to the next story. Saponification, the same process that happens when making soap, can happen after death and make you look like you're made of soap or wax. There's chemical changes that turns body fat into adipocere, which is a waxy substance. It preserves the body and you'll forever be a soap person. Story number 28. What you think you see isn't real. It's a mental model built from multiple snapshots made by the small part of your vision that's reasonably high detail and in color. Fuzzy monochrome and motion-only bits from the side of your vision, memories, and parts your brain fills in based on what it expects to see, and it's all on a delay. Story number 29. How limited our minds are. An ant will never understand that being in my room when I'm vacuuming is a bad idea, but the knowledge exists. I'm sure there's a load of information about the universe staring right at us, but we'll never understand it because of our stupid human brains. Story number 30. Our minds can be tricked, and our minds can trick us. Some people sleep with their eyes open. Our memories are fallible. If you remember something from 10 plus years ago, the events in your mind are likely changed. You might remember a couple things properly, but our memories are almost never 100% accurate. On top of that, we usually don't remember the unimportant stuff. Our dreams are a product of our subconscious, from any memory, especially recent ones. Next story. Maybe not creepy, but I think it's weird that some studies found that your body knows what you are going to decide to do before you actually decide to do it. So they found the muscles would get ready to do something, say press a certain button, before the person consciously decides to do it. Or your leg muscles will get ready before you make the decision to walk. So when we think we are making a certain choice, our body actually already knew what we are going to do. Hey, thanks for subscribing and liking, it really means a lot to me. While you are here, feel free to hop on over to the last video. See you there. Ronnie.